My name is Paul Keevil. I'm the Group Sales Director for Combisafe, and I'm here to speak to you on behalf of the Edge Protection Federation, the EPF. Who are the EPF, the Edge Protection Federation? It's a collection of companies that are heavily involved in edge protection manufacturing and supply. The founder members there you can see at the bottom, including Combisafe and several other well-known companies in the business. And the federation came into existence about the same time as the European standard for edge protection was issued, BSEN 13374. And on the basis of that standard, the Federation came together as a forum for discussion amongst the industry peers to establish training and education schemes, to give safety advice and guidance. And we also publish a code of practice on edge protection, which is there as an industry reference body. And of course, we're very interested in promoting competent installation of edge protection systems. Edge protection, of course, comes in very many different forms. It really comes into its own when there's any need to protect people from falling from a leading edge. Of course, we don't include scaffolds in our remit, as the standards for scaffolds and the way of applying scaffolds are very different. We come into the picture during all sorts of building, obviously in large-scale commercial building, in civil engineering, infrastructure work, residential building, portal frame buildings commonly used in warehousing and so on, flat roof renovation, and also we cover protecting people from falling from vehicles, loading and unloading, and also from falling into excavations and other deep holes. Of course, there's many different ways of fixing edge protection to a structure. The basic method, of course, relies upon a post, a barrier of some sort, and then a means of fixing that post to the structure. In the small diagrams on the left-hand side, you see the typical mounting of a post onto a concrete slab through a bolted foot. But of course there are many ways of doing this. On the right hand side there you see a flexible, adaptable cantilever fixing bolted to a steel perimeter beam at the edge of a steel frame building. So there's really hardly any kind of application that we can't solve, whether it be concrete slabs, steel frames, portal frames, timber, flat or sloping surfaces, precast, timber frame. We've got within our group the different manufacturers have fixings to suit all of these applications. And of course we base it all on EN 13374, and we pride ourselves on being active innovators and can usually find a new way to fix our edge protection if we're presented with a new problem. So as I say, apart from the obvious mountings on slabs and so on, we can mount to precast concrete, to formwork beams, sheet piles, bridge parapets and structural timber elements. There probably are some other applications here which we've forgotten about. We can probably cover those as well. There are plenty of developments in hand to reduce the exposure to work at height risks. Obviously what we're very keen to do is that the edge protection is fitted to the precast element or to the steel beam before it's lifted into place. Typical example here. This slide here talks about the different classifications in the European norm 13374. We have three classes, A, B and C, and class A is designed to look at applications on flat roofs and slabs with or roofs with small inclinations. And the purpose of the beach ball you see there is to illustrate the maximum size of an item which is supposed to pass through the edge protection guardrails. So this is very similar to the scaffolding rules, 470 mm being the maximum separation between the horizontal elements. We move to Class B. Class B covers those applications where we're protecting much more steeply inclined roofs or surfaces. Here we have to take account of much smaller objects passing through the protection, and here we've got a sphere of 250 mm mustn't pass through the protection. And on the final class is Class C for steeply inclined surfaces. Here we're trying to protect against smaller items again, so a sphere of 100 mm diameter mustn't pass through the protection. Obviously the starting point for most of the systemised edge protection systems are the mesh panels that we provide. You see a selection here from the different manufacturers. They are very different in detail, but they have similar features. They use a wire mesh as a debris protection. They have a toe board, and of course they're stiff enough to provide the handrail protection. Many different varieties of these available from the different members of the EPF. We also provide for Class C, which is the protection for more steeply inclined surfaces. We provide systems with soft netting, and the reason here is that we have to allow for impact loadings of items rolling down a roof, for example, and to absorb the energy we need to use a soft net rather than a fixed wire mesh. And we provide different systems which allow us to rig these nets as vertical protection at the side of roofs and so on. We can provide freestanding systems. These particular illustrations here show typical counterweighted freestanding systems with the counterweight acting through a lever arm. Here they're shown just with simple guardrails, but we can provide similar setups with mesh panels also. There's a lot of development going on with mesh panels. What we've seen recently is a demand for much higher protection. We have in the standard protection up to 1 metre, but some clients and end users are demanding protection right from the floor of the slab up to the soffit. Here you see some typical examples of the way that this is being handled, either with mesh panels, one on top of the other, floor to soffit, or on the right hand side you see an enhanced height panel but with a soft net behind to provide the debris protection right up to ceiling level. My presentation seems to be coming back much as I expected to see it, so I'll carry on. One of the big developments at the moment is in full height protection, and there's quite a lot of innovation going on here. Here's two typical examples from different manufacturers. On the left hand side we've got posts which are rigged from the floor to the soffit, and these are secured purely by friction. So we're developing a compressive force in the post by different mechanical means and using that to effectively jam the post between the floor and the soffit. Then from that post we can rig 1 barrier, 2 barriers, 3 barriers right up to the full soffit height. Obviously the friction fitting also allows us to remove the need for bolt into the slab and can potentially provide a very quick and easy way of rigging a post. Quite a lot of development has been needed on these kind of posts to make sure that there's enough compressive force in the post to really give you the frictional forces you need to secure the system. Excuse me. Because with these systems you get quite high wind forces acting through the barriers and onto the posts, and that's the most difficult thing you have to deal with. So this is the very latest innovation from the Edge Protection Federation members. We're also able to provide edge protection barriers for timber frame structures. Some new attachments have needed to be developed to solve these sorts of problems. Typical example here. And here's a little bit more detail on some of the friction posts that are coming into service. This particular version here has a lever ratchet of action. So you pull the post into position just below the full height, and then you use a lever ratchet arm which works through a friction coupling to force the upper part of the post into contact with the soffit. So a really quick thing to rig, and giving you the ability to hang 1, 2 or 3 barriers from that post. Of course, our friends in the formwork industry, some of whom are members of the EPF, people like Issubeck, for example, are developing or have developed over the last few years climbing protection screens or wind screens which rise up a high-level building with their formwork. Of course, this obviates the need for debris protection at those levels, but of course you still need edge protection at the open floors below. And in that picture on the right you can see a climbing screen, but of course below it, on the floors below, you can see traditional edge protection in place. Obviously these climbing screens are very much something made by the formwork manufacturers to fit with their individual systems, so quite a few different ones around at the moment. Here we see some typical mesh barriers attached to formwork beams, and there are attachments available to fit most of the aluminium and timber formwork beams that are in use, and these are available from the different members of the Federation. As I said before, we're not involved just with steel mesh panels at the edge of buildings. We also can provide catch net fans. This is an area of application which is still developing. Now these of course are soft net fans which are rigged off the side of a building or structure, and they're designed to catch any debris or materials which fall through the edge protection, and therefore protect either the public or underneath, or typically workers on that particular site. In fact, there's a lot of wind-blown debris on high buildings, and this is where the safety catch net fan really comes into its own. It provides that extra amount of reassurance that board and sheet materials and other things like that are not going to get blown over or through the edge protection and hit the ground with potentially disastrous results. EPF members can also supply some innovative solutions for staircases, both for precast and steel fabricated stairs. So there's no need to go on using the knife and fork methods with tube and fitting or whatever, taking up an awful lot of time and effort and labour time in custom making solutions for staircases. The suppliers in the EPF have ready-made solutions for stairs which can enable you to use either mesh panels or guardrails on your staircase. At the start I mentioned that we're not involved just with falls from buildings, but we can also provide equipment to protect drivers, banksmen and so on from falling from vehicles. Several different approaches are available. On the left hand side you see a gantry type device where the operative hooks himself onto 2 fall blocks. While he's walking on the platform or on the load, if he does slip or fall, one or other of those blocks will tighten and stop him hitting the floor, hitting the ground. In the middle you see a different approach, soft nets rigged on either side of the vehicle as edge protection. And on the right hand side you can see a different approach again with a guardrail system which is actually clamped to the trailers, the trailer side members. So there's a lot of innovation going on here, lots of developments. I know that from my own company we're involved in in developing new products for this sector. So quite a few things there to look for. There are always new things to do, of course, and one of the things which has really developed in recent years is to provide protection for lift shafts and concrete cores. Obviously there are large openings in the cores where in future the lift gates or lift doors will go, and these need to be protected. And there are some quite elaborate systems available now, modular systems, as you see in the upper left hand side there, which can be used to protect these lift shaft openings. Quite elaborate doors, normally double doors, hinged and locked from both sides, so that not only can the operatives on the floor not go through that door, through the inner door, unless they have the right key, but there is also a second door on the inside to protect the lift shaft workers, people who may be installing lifts, from actually breaking through the door and going on to perhaps an area on the slab where they shouldn't be. So complete protection for lift shafts. Two typical examples you see on the left hand side. And then of course there are edge protections for special kind of roofs. Again, these can be a mixture of soft nets and handrails, special attachments being required to fix them to the structure. And again, quite a lot of developments going on there. I know from my own company and one or two of our peers in the business that we're developing new solutions for this kind of application at the moment. We also need to look at the guys in the formwork industry who are laying boards, and as you can see from the guy on the left there, he's always working at an open edge in his work. So here we're using a gallows bracket type of device with a full block. This is mounted in a socket which is cast into the concrete columns of the building, and you have a whole series of these sockets so that you move your bracket, your gallows bracket, from place to place across the building. And with a bit of pre-planning you can use a minimum number of these gallows brackets to provide protection over the whole surface area of the floor. And we can also protect excavations with specialised fixings onto sheet piles, as we see here, either to provide mesh barrier protection, or on the upper right hand side there you see a solution with adjustable guardrails. But this is the kind of civil engineering and infrastructure application rather than the ones we're used to seeing in building work. Of course, barriers can also be mounted at ground level. We all have support feet available, which enable you to fix your barriers as demarcation fences at ground level, extending the use of the barriers that may be in the user's fleet. So, I need to wrap up. We're innovating like mad in our industry. We still have a few issues though. We don't get involved early enough to provide the best application or the best solution sometimes to what people might need. Some of the trends in steel work are giving us very great difficulties because the steel members are so light, they're not any more capable of carrying the loads from the edge protection, so that can be a problem. Full height protection doesn't have a standard to define it. But there again, the EPF are working on that, and we will be able to issue our own industry standard soon covering full height protection. So, just to close, lots of different applications, lots of innovation going on, a solution we hope for every edge protection problem. So, thank you very much. I don't know whether there's time for any questions, but if there are any questions, okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Information did you find at today's talk?
It was more the technological advances as far as the edge protection is concerned, seeing if how with the way that we're moving forward with our company, how it would harmonise with what they're producing and what they're looking at.